Hello, this is Kyle, and this is the second lab out of 10 going over how to use the different tools inside of Backtrack 5R3. So in this lab, we're going to go over the basics of Metasploit and also exploiting your first system. So this will branch off of the first video that you saw on Lab 1. So before we get started, just make sure that your Backtrack 5R3 box is up, as well as the other two machines in this lab, and that will be Windows XP and Ubuntu. And also make sure that they are all on VMnet 1 so that you do not commit any crimes or break any laws. Alright, and once you have done that, go ahead and go into your Backtrack 5R3 box and go to Applications. Select Backtrack, Exploitation Tools, Network Exploitation Tools, Metasploit Framework, and then you can go to the MSF console. Now this will open up the Metasploit console, and this is where you're going to end up entering all of your commands. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while it loads. Okay, so this is what we see once it finishes loading. If we do a quick help, it will show us all of the commands that the Metasploit console has. There's not nearly as many as you would think, but there's still a lot here. Now, in order to see the various options or what you can do with each of these commands, you just type -h after it. So, for example, to use the show command, we could just do show-h, and this will show us all of the parameters that are valid for the show command. So for example, if we wanted to show all of the payloads that are available, we could do show payload, or payloads rather, and it shows every single payload that is offered by Metasploit. So there's a lot of these, and if you were to learn Metasploit foo, you would kind of understand when and where to use each of these. So now that we've looked at kind of a little bit about Metasploit at least, let's go ahead and use it in our first scenario. So earlier in the last lab, we used Nessus to discover some vulnerabilities in an XP system on the network. Let's go ahead and open up Nessus and log in. And let's take a look at the scan that we completed before. So click the scan and click browse, and go ahead and click hi, and then this will open up these two things, and let's click hi again. And this will show us the exploits that are high severity for this system. Let's go ahead and exploit this Windows XP system by using the MS08-067 exploit. Now this is a pretty common exploit, but as a result, it probably will be patched on almost any enterprise network, so this is not a legitimate scenario in a net. However, for the sake of practice, I think it's good to exploit a system just to see what it looks like using Metasploit. So let's go ahead and do a search MS08-067-T exploit. Now this will search for the -T is the qualifier for an exploit, so we're searching for an exploit that begins with or has MS08-067 in it. And Metasploit will give us back this exploit particularly. So in order to use this exploit, we will enter use and then the exploit name. So type in that name that you see above there. And now you're using the exploit that we've just found. So a payload is what Metasploit will do to the system once it is exploited. And so for us, we want to use a VNC inject, and that just means that we'll essentially be remoting into the computer. So to show all the payloads again, do show payloads. And if I remember correctly, this will just show the payloads that are for this exploit, not necessarily all of the payloads that are available in Metasploit. So at the very bottom, you can kind of see the one that we were talking about earlier, and that's the VNC inject. Over here on the side it says VNC, as well as in the payload name. So we are going to select this payload. So set payload Windows / VNC inject / reverse TCP. And that sets our payload. And now we also have to set a couple other things, and that's the L host and the R host. The L host is the attacking IP address, and the R host is the victim IP address. So go ahead and do set L host and your IP address. So for me, I actually forget, so I'm going to go ahead and check real quick. Alright, it's .137. So, and then for the R host, I remember the other one is 192.168.1.136, and that's the Windows XP host that we saw in Nessus. And finally, in order to exploit the machine, just go ahead and enter exploit. And this will open up a session on the XP host, as it has exploited the MS08_067 exploit. So take note that two things. First and foremost, we are on a VNC right now, and so like we can see what's going on there. But in addition, this window will have popped up for them as well, so it's not like they wouldn't be able to see this. So there's that. You're actually on the machine right now. You can do whatever you like. If you want to look at their files or something like that, you could do that, or not, so go ahead and close that down. And if you want to learn more about Metasploit, I would recommend doing so. It is one of the major tools in Backtrack, as well as in pen testing in general. So we just went over, obviously a very brief overview of it, and we are going to be using it in some of the other labs as well. And so that concludes this lab. Thank you, and I will see you in lab 3.